Hi, I'm Tim Stokes, and if you've heard me speak before or looked at any of the information that I put out there in the marketplace, you know that I'm a believer that the most important number and the most important area to focus on in any business is the net profit margin. Net profit margin determines the quality of life that you have as a business owner. So I want to share with you briefly in this video a little bit more about this subject. Here's an example of different businesses that are the benchmarks. Benchmarks are typically from a lot of different businesses in the industry, collated information put together to create an average. And if you look at this, other manufacturing businesses from $500,000 to $750,000, average benchmark net margin 2%. When the businesses are at $1 to $5 million, then 3%. Cafes and restaurants 5%. Decreasing the 2%, motor vehicle retailing and services, $500,000 to $750,000, 5%, $1 to $5 million, 3%. Personal and household retailing, 10% down to 2% when the business grows. Personal services, 7% down to 4%. Now, I'd invite you to go to this website. You may not be in Australia, but that doesn't really matter. Just go there because these figures probably won't be that much different country by country, but have a look at this website and look up your industry and have a look. Now, this is some fairly shocking statistics. If this is the most important number in a business and yet it is declining as the business increases in turnover commonly in the marketplace, well, that means you need to rethink your strategy about the way of making money being get more customers and focus on marketing, because if your turnover is going up, there's an extremely high chance your net margin is going down, which means you just end up with less money and less cash available in your business. Examples of the clients' business that I've worked with. Here's a plumber and drainage business. This is a contractor up the Sunshine Coast. His business, when he came into the training, was running at about $750,000 turnover for the previous financial year with a 6% net profit margin. By the end of the training, he was at $1 million equivalent with a turnover with an 18% net profit margin. So his net profit margin had tripled, but his turnover had increased as well. And if you do the math, it's about a 492% increase in his net profit as a result of this training. And that was achieved from about month 3, where the decisions are made, to month 7 when you looked at these figures. It happened in a fairly short period of time as a result of this training. Here's an optometrist client, and this optometrist was turning over about $1 million with a 9% net margin. And 7 months later, at the end of the training, his net profit margin had increased to 16%. And here's another one. Here's an accounting firm that their net profit margin was 12%. It had gone to 22% from the training. Here's a builder. Unfortunately, he was really struggling when he came into the training. He couldn't actually afford it. He was living off property, but his turnover was at $1.3 million, but he had a minus 22% net profit margin. By the end of the training, he got very motivated, very focused on what makes him money, and his turnover had increased to $2.4 million, and he was running 11% net profit margin. Now, these results are being achieved without training business owners on marketing strategies. They're not implementing any marketing strategies like new websites or advertising campaign online or anything. These strategies are not taught at that level. It's something that I look at more after I've increased their efficiency, increased their net margin, then we look at the marketing strategies after that. So these are just some examples of what can be achieved. There's some of the many examples I'd like to share with you, but let's just give you a bit of a picture of where things are. So if you're interested in this subject, what about your business? Well, here's some recommendations for you. If your turnover is over $750,000 or $700,000, I believe your net margin needs to be 15 to 25% plus. You can definitely get that, but it does take excellent management skills to get net margins up. We can all increase our turnover, and if you sell at a lower price, you will increase sales, but then you don't have the money to afford to pay yourself or your employees, and then you run out of cash. So the secret of business is to get your net margin up, and that is management skills training. That is not just about marketing training or general business coaching, which tends to focus a lot on the marketing. It is management training. Now, if your turnover is a lot less than that, then your net margin will be high. That's fair enough. And in fact, if your turnover was $200,000, it might be at 50%. But when you start to get up a little bit and some of your costs and regular consistent expenses kick in with running vehicles and insurances, and you need an admin person or someone to answer the phone and a premises to run out of, all those sort of things start to reduce your profits. And that's why I look at the 700,000 figure turnover as a benchmark. So when you're up at that figure, then you want to be at 15 to 25% plus, and it is very achievable for the majority of industries when you are taught the skills and the strategies necessary to do that. So if you'd like to see more results, I'd suggest go to the YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/user/businessfreedom7, and there you'll see more videos on this subject and a whole lot of other fascinating subjects. And if my clients found these results hard to believe, which you probably do too, most people find a lot of these results that I talk about very, very hard to believe. Well, before they achieve them, that is, then what's your business's profit potential? If they found these results hard to achieve and they didn't think it'd work for their business, but it still did, then I'd ask you, what's your business's profit potential? It could be enormous. It could be 100 to 200, 300,000 plus, as it has for a lot of the clients that I've been training. So if you like the sound of this and you'd like to know more, you could go to my Facebook page, which is I Want Business Certainty. Like my page and you'll get more of this kind of information coming to you, or the Business Freedom 7 YouTube channel. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you soon with another one.